We've made it to Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Home of chocolate roller coasters,
Chocolate museums,
chocolate restaurants,
make your own chocolate bar.
and a life-changing school paid for entirely with chocolate.
If you could say anything to Milton Hershey, what would you say?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Welcome to the sweetest place on earth, Hershey, Pennsylvania. Located about 100 miles west of Philadelphia and just east of the state capital of Harrisburg, Hershey is obviously synonymous with chocolate, but there's so much more to this company town than meets the eye or taste buds. In today's episode, we'll take you to the world-famous Hersheypark, show you where you can create your own chocolate bar, stroll through Milton Hershey's beautiful rose gardens, and tug at your heartstrings a bit as we meet someone whose life was forever changed by the Milton Hershey School. Before we jump into all the fun, let's set the scene for how this rural Pennsylvania town became the sweetest place on earth. Born near the town of Derry Church in 1857, Milton Hershey was raised in this rural and largely agricultural community. After several different business ventures led him to Philadelphia and New York City, he returned to his hometown as a successful businessman with a plan to create a chocolate factory. But he didn't just stop there. He knew the importance of community, education, and recreation. So, over time, the town of Derry Church transformed into the model community of what we now know as Hershey today. A few years later, Milton Hershey and his wife Catherine founded an additional school here in Hershey for the benefit of orphan boys. They loved children but couldn't have any of their own, and so they directed their immense wealth from the namesake chocolate company to give back and make a difference for future generations. So in 1909, the Milton Industrial School was founded with just 4 students. Today, the Milton Hershey School has grown into a campus of over 7,000 acres, providing top-tier K-12 education for over 2,000 qualifying girls and boys. All tuition, clothing, school supplies, housing, meals, and more are completely taken care of throughout their education thanks to that original gift of Hershey Company shares and visitors to Hersheypark and other affiliated businesses. So buckle up and get ready to learn all about the different ways Hershey really is the sweetest place on earth.
It is a beautiful day for a theme park.
Yeah, by far the largest attraction here in Hershey is Hersheypark. This has been operating since 1906, making it one of the oldest theme parks or amusement parks in the country. And you may not know this, or maybe you do, but Caitlin and I actually met on a roller coaster.
We did. So we both used to work in the theme park, amusement park industry. So we love roller coasters, and I am so excited to hop on some, get some amazing, delicious food, some chocolate, of course. You have to have chocolate when you're at Hershey.
Absolutely. And it's not just about roller coasters. This is definitely a family park. There's attractions for everybody. But yeah, if you're a roller coaster enthusiast, they have all the major manufacturers, all the various types. This is a full day experience.
I'm super excited to get on Wildcat's Revenge. That is one of their newest coasters, and it is a hybrid coaster, which means it's steel and wood. So it's the best of both worlds.
With more than 70 rides and attractions, including 15 roller coasters, plus a water park and a zoo, there's a lot to see and do here at Hersheypark. What began as a place for employees of Milton Hershey's chocolate factory to enjoy during their time off has grown into a world-class amusement destination. After walking around a bit and hopping on several rides, we worked up quite an appetite and grabbed lunch at one of Hershey's signature restaurants, the Chocolatier.
Particularly at like an amusement park or theme park, you don't always think like high-end food. That was a really good meal.
I'm really excited.
Excited for what, Caitlin?
A milkshake, and not just any milkshake. This is like a milkshake and another dessert all in one. I see it, and it's coming.
The chocolate.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh my gosh. All for me, Howard.
What?
I'll share.
Wow.
Reese's peanut butter cups are my favorite. And there's a peanut butter pie on top, and we have a pretzel that's covered in little mini Reese's Pieces.
Wow.
It's so beautiful. It's a work of art.
I had the chicken and waffles, which from what it said, either maybe the chicken or the waffles was Mr. Hershey's favorite meal.
Maybe the combo together. Maybe he liked chicken and waffles together.
Maybe chicken and waffles existed back then.
I never had chicken and waffles until today, having a bite of yours. So that was new for me.
The fun thing too with that is it's actually done in collaboration with the Milton Hershey School. The culinary program there collaborated with the park to create that dish.
Something that's really unique about the Chocolatier is when you look at the menu and you see the little C next to some of the menu items, that means that there's chocolate that's infused in whatever that item is. So my burger had chocolate drizzle sauce over the potato chips, which were on top of the burger. So they're carrying that Hershey theme throughout. And you don't have to have a park ticket to go to the Chocolatier Restaurant. That is accessible outside of the front gate of Hersheypark. So just keep that in mind too. It's also highly recommended that you make reservations, which you can do online. We did it. We came, we saw, we conquered. We walked almost 7 miles around this park.
Is that really how far?
Yeah.
7 miles.
I definitely have some favorites of the coasters. How about you?
Oh, for sure. They have such a great variety of rides here. Caitlin, what was your favorite?
My favorite, hands down, was Wildcats Revenge. It was so good. So good. If you have never experienced a hybrid coaster, it is unlike anything else that's out there because you've got like the amazing smoothness of the steel track, but then it's like the old school, like everybody loves a good wooden coaster, but it's combining the best of both worlds. And it was an awesome ride experience.
Well, for me, it was the one behind us actually, Candemonium. I love a great airtime coaster, and that's what this was. You know, it's a B&M, which B&Ms are famous for how smooth they are. They're all steel. They're only steel coasters. So smooth, so much airtime. You were out of your seat all the time. Even in the ending, they actually figured out a way to have like airtime after the last brake run before you get into the station. I have no idea how they did that, but it was amazing from beginning to end. You know, let's also talk about the fact that they have lots and lots of rides, even if you're not into roller coasters.
And the theming is so great too. Like as you're walking around, just look for little things. You'll see different Hershey kisses or just different nods to the Hershey brand, and it's really fun. It was a blast. I had a good time. How about you?
I had a great time. Well, rainy days are always a perfect day for the museum. I didn't really know exactly what to expect. I was thinking it was just going to be about maybe the history of Hershey, as in the company, but it's also about the man, Milton Hershey, and the people who led the company after him, and the company, and the town, and also the school.
Yeah, there's a lot jam-packed into this museum, and it just gives you like a deeper appreciation for everything that has happened here over the years. And a theme that you'll see throughout the entire museum is how important education was to both Catherine and Milton Hershey, and how that's continued today, both through public education as well as the Milton Hershey School. One of my favorite factoids that we learned in the museum happens to be about one of my favorite candies, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
The fact that it actually was a separate company. Mr. Hershey and Mr. Reese knew each other, were crosstown rivals, I guess you would say, and Mr. Hershey sold the chocolate that went around the peanut butter for Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
And I think it was not until the 1960s, I believe, that Hershey actually acquired Reese's and it became part of Hershey. I had no idea. We both thought that like Hershey just made Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. No idea the backstory. That was really cool and something brand new that we learned here at the museum.
I was really impressed with the amount of interactive exhibits and all the technology. Like, for instance, Caitlin and I both got to try our hand at creating a assembly line for Hershey Kisses. It's not as easy as you think, and I will say that both of us succeeded.
Yes, it took you a couple of tries, and then I got to like benefit from Howard's knowledge. I saw how he did it. But even after doing that, like it was still a little bit tricky, but that was super fun. And then you get a token when you enter the museum, and you can put that up to certain displays, and it has your name on there, and then it will tell you different stories. And every one I think has 4 different stories. So if you keep pushing or holding your token up, you'll hear more and more of the story. That was really cool. I think it's kind of fun too, because right when you enter into the lobby, they have these kiosks where you kind of configure your own token. So it asks for your name, it asks for your favorite color, and then it actually integrates that into each one of the stories as it's telling it. I think that's a really awesome way, particularly like for kids or young adults, to connect them to the story in the exhibit. There's a temporary exhibit space, and the current special exhibit is all about the life of Bill Dearden and his contribution and story throughout Hershey.
Bill Dearden was accepted into the Hershey Industrial School, known today as the Milton Hershey School, back in the 1930s. After his mother had passed away, his father struggled to find work and therefore struggled to provide stability to Bill and his brother. The school here in Hershey was a huge turning point in Bill Dearden's life, a story you'll hear echoed from other alumni you'll meet later in this episode. After graduating high school, Bill Dearden went to college and also enlisted in the Navy before making his way right back here to Hershey. He often said that he felt he owed a great debt to both the school and Mr. Hershey, and after serving various roles within the company, Mr. Bill Dearden rose through the ranks and became CEO, leading Hershey through growing pains and coming out on top. He was the first graduate of the Milton Hershey School to lead the Hershey Chocolate Corporation, fulfilling a dream that Milton Hershey once had, that one of his boys from the school would eventually return to run his beloved chocolate factory.
And we're not done here at the museum. You can really spend several hours here. There are additional experiences that you can purchase tickets for, like a chocolate tastings. So we're gonna have warm drinking chocolate.
Yes.
And then we're going to the chocolate lab.
Where I think we're going to be making our own chocolate bar.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, cool, they're labeled.
Yes, they are.
All right, so we are going to be doing little chocolate tastings here. So these are warm drinking chocolates from around the world. So we have Tanzania, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Ghana, Peru, and then Hershey's milk chocolate. And so we're gonna start with Tanzania and work our way around. Yeah, it's really neat. So they give you this little informational sheet and it has tasting notes and then information about how much cacao is actually in each one. And so the Tanzania one, this rare chocolate from the rich soil of East Africa represents a small percentage of the world's production. And this sample has an intense fruitiness with pleasant floral notes. Did you get that, Howard?
I did. I got exactly that description. Well, I'm going to jump into Mexico.
Ooh.
Because we've been to chocolate plantation in Mexico. And we actually learned how they are harvested and roasted.
Yeah,
Really interesting.
It's super cool. So they grow, like cocoa beans grow in these pods that they then crack open and they're like slimy white beans. You can actually eat those. And I find them to be pretty good. Like they're much more fruity. They don't taste like chocolate at all. I enjoyed it.
Visually, it kind of almost looks like a corn on the cob, but with much larger kernels.
Yeah, and then you roast it and dry it out, and then you can grind it into like a cocoa powder. We got to see them do that. So how was the Mexican one?
Really good.
Was it good?
Yeah.
And we'll have a link in the description from that episode. That was back in 2020 when we were in Mexico.
It's one of our first episodes ever.
So please forgive us. It looks very different than today's videos.
Oh, I like that one a lot. That one's 66% cacao.
With the Mexico one, you definitely start to get more of that, almost the milk chocolate. Like you're getting more of the creaminess. By the time you get all the way down on the far end, you can really taste the difference of how buttery and creamy the Hershey's milk chocolate is in comparison to like the Tanzania, which is what, 75% cacao.
This is great on a chilly day too, because they're all warm drinking chocolates. Highly recommend.
I'm really loving how compact and walkable Hershey is. We're on our way to lunch while we wait for our chocolate lab experience.
Yes, the tastings, that was excellent. That was a nice little precursor to lunch. There's all kinds of shops and bars and restaurants along the main street here, which is Chocolate Avenue. Make sure you look up at the streetlights because they're all Hershey Kisses, both wrapped and unwrapped.
We grabbed a bite at Tikka Shack, which serves delicious quick-service Indian cuisine, before heading back to the museum and suiting up for our special chocolate lab experience.
I am ready.
Welcome to the Chocolate Lab. We are making our Planet Chocolate Bar. It could look a little bit something like this. You have 3 options for toppings. All of them relate to the history and production of chocolate in some way. The first is cocoa nibs, which is essentially just pure chocolate. We also have cinnamon, which was one of the first toppings that was adopted when chocolate came to Europe. And then we have chili flakes. Chili flakes relate to the first ancient civilization who worked with chocolate.
That was a lot of fun. Very easy. If you're worried about the process, that probably took 10 minutes.
Yeah, they make it very simple. And I like too that you could pick what toppings you want to put on. So we each went with all 3. So it's kind of like I have 3 chocolate bars in one. Because I had the nibs, cinnamon, and red pepper flakes.
Yeah, if you haven't had spicy chocolate, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
They kind of complement each other and they kind of bring each other out. So, you know, you end up with a richer, more interesting flavor.
And the class was really fun too, because once you make your bar, then you get to go into how chocolate is actually made, from the plant to the bar. And we know what that's like since we had been to the cacao farm in Mexico. But it's so cool to see how they explain the process, you know, just kind of make it like fun and entertaining for all ages.
So we're tasting little chocolate chips and then talking about the different notes that we're tasting within them. And then he tells us where in the world they're from. This one I'm definitely getting like butterscotch or like caramel.
There we go.
Well, just below the Hotel Hershey are the Hershey Gardens, which are also a must visit when you're in the area.
It has such a fascinating history. It was in 1936 that Milton Hershey was asked to build rose gardens near Washington, D.C. Why that area? We're not really sure, but he said, actually, I'm going to do it here. And it grew into these beautiful gardens that we get to come visit today.
And there's a number of things that you can see while you're here. For instance, there's a children's garden, dedicated children's garden. The butterfly area, I don't know if is it a conservatory? Atrium? I'm not sure. The room with the butterflies is really beautiful. They also have stained glass art butterflies. As soon as you walk in, make sure you look straight up. There's beautiful stained glass butterflies there.
The butterfly atrium was so cool, but it's also kind of sad. The butterflies only live 3 to 4 weeks, and then the big atlas moths, the male only lives 4 days. He does not have a mouth. That's just mind-boggling to me that something in nature would be like set up for failure like that. I don't know. Fascinating.
And it depends on what time of year you're visiting as to what is blooming. So we were told we just missed the tulips, which were supposedly spectacular, but there are other late spring blooms that we can still see while we're walking around. And as you come out of the building, there's a gorgeous fountain, and it's so pretty today.
And yes, they are famous for their roses, and you can take them home too. They have a Catherine Hershey rose and an MS rose that are available for sale. As soon as you walk out into the gardens, you'll see them laid out right there, and you pay for them inside the gift shop.
I love these little hanging, I don't know what they are. I call them snapdragons, which I'm sure is very wrong. I'm not a horticulturalist. I don't know my flowers, but I know that I like them and they're very cute. There's this really cool photograph here of when the gardens opened in 1937. Looking this exact direction, you can see the pergola. There's some old classic cars, and so you can see how much has stayed the same and also how much has changed.
Caitlin, I think you found it.
I know we were a little bummed because the rose bushes weren't blooming yet, but if you stop and actually look at things, sometimes you'll be surprised. There's some little rosebuds right there. And there's some even more tiny ones over here. Just waiting to come out. Oh, that one too. It's almost time. We were invited to the campus of the Milton Hershey School to see the great impact of Catherine and Milton Hershey's philanthropy. The very first person we got to meet, and often the first face visitors see on campus, solidified how life-changing the Milton Hershey School can be. Rodney Drake is the guest safety coordinator here, and like so many others, has found his way back to the place that changed his life.
My dad died of cancer at 26 years old. My mother was widowed at 22 and had a 5'3" and a 2-year-old, and she didn't know which way it was up. When she realized there was a place to give her 2 boys everything she wanted to, but she didn't have the means, she enrolled us in Milton Hershey School. May 22nd, 1967. It's the day our lives changed forever.
That's ingrained in you.
I know that date better than my birthday. My house parents instantaneously kind of became new parents to me because I didn't really understand what was going on. They were just so incredible to me that actually 5 years ago, I moved my 90-year-old elementary house mother into my own home to take care of her. Wow. But that's what Milton Hershey's about. It's about building connections, building those relationships, and they'll last a lifetime. Kind of like when I got married and my house parents sat in the row with my mom. When my mom asked me about it, I said, this was mom and dad when you couldn't be for whatever reason. I can't imagine being a 22-year-old mother and having to make a decision to give your boys to someone or somewhere else to raise. But it was the best gift that she ever gave my brother and I was Milton Hershey School. You know, when you come from absolutely nothing, Milton Hershey's just, they give you everything. So to come from such a poor environment to something where every need was met, we were loved on a constant basis, teachers cared deeply for us, And I really kind of started to notice the change as I was going into high school, that I'm part of something that's pretty darn special here.
And you're obviously back here now. So tell me about your journey full circle to get back.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, it's crazy. I get to come home every day and work. How bad is that? So did 3 years in the Army. I got out for 10. My wife and I came back as relief house parents from 92 to 95, and we loved that. And then I decided to go back in the service. So I went in for 24 more years, retired from active with the National Guard here in Pennsylvania in July of 15. I put an application in for campus safety in February of 2015, got a phone call, hey, just want to do a phone interview with you, and got an email the next day that, sorry, you're not going any further. And out of the blue, I get a phone call in April, we'd like to bring you in for an interview. And so, you know, I was at the same time, I was trying to extend and do 30 years in the Army, but when I had an opportunity to come home, I wasn't going to pass that up. And so came back here on June 15th of 2015. This is life-changing. I mean, it's changed my life forever. And just to be able to love your child enough to provide this opportunity and let the school do what they do. We have incredible folks here. And the beauty of Milton Hershey School lies in the hearts of the people that change these kids' lives every day.
If you could say anything to Milton Hershey, what would you say?
Sorry.
It's okay.
I would go up to Mr. and Mrs. Hershey, and I would give them a hug, and I would tell them I love them, and thank them for changing my life.
We have a lot more to share from our time at the Milton Hershey School. Click the video below to watch part 2 of our time in Hershey, where you can meet house parents, other former students, and go exclusively behind the scenes to see more of the magic of MHS. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.